me ask you something. Have you ever given everything to someone, only to be left feeling like you were never enough? Have you ever looked in the mirror and seen a version of yourself so broken, so exhausted, that you barely recognize who you were anymore? If this resonates with you, drop a 111 in the comments, because I know what it feels like to pour your soul into people who only take. I know what it's like to wait for someone to see your worth when deep down they never truly cared. You've been waiting for love, waiting for closure, waiting for an apology that will never come. But let me tell you something. It's time to stop waiting. It's time to focus on you. Your past does not define you. The mistakes you've made, the pain you've endured, the heartbreaks, the failures, none of these things determine who you are or who you have the power to become. Too many people allow their past to be a prison, locking them in a cycle of regret, guilt, and self-doubt. But your past is not a life sentence. It is a lesson. It is a stepping stone. It is proof that you have lived, that you have tried, and that you have survived. People often carry the weight of their past like a heavy burden, believing that because they have fallen before, they are doomed to fall again. But that is not the truth. Your past does not dictate your future unless you let it. Every person who has ever achieved greatness has had moments of failure, moments of weakness, moments where they felt unworthy. What separates them is their ability to rise, to learn, and to move forward. Pain can be a powerful teacher. The things that once broke you can become the very things that build you into someone stronger, wiser, and more resilient. You may have been abandoned, but that doesn't mean you are unlovable. You may have made mistakes, but that doesn't mean you are beyond redemption. You may have failed, but that doesn't mean you are incapable of success. The past is meant to shape you, not to define you. Think of a butterfly. Before it can spread its wings and fly, it must first go through a period of darkness inside a cocoon. It must struggle, break apart, and transform. If you judged a butterfly by its past, you would see nothing but a fragile caterpillar. But its past was necessary for its future. The same is true for you. There was once a man who lost everything. His business failed, he was buried in debt, and the people he thought would support him disappeared. He spent months drowning in self-pity, convinced that because he had failed before, he would never succeed. But one day he realized something. His failure was not final. He could either stay stuck in the past, repeating the same story of loss and regret, or he could rewrite his future. So he started again. He used everything he had learned from his failures to build something new. Years later, he became a successful entrepreneur, not because he had never failed, but because he refused to let his past failures define him. Your story's not over. The chapters you have already lived are only part of your journey, not the conclusion. You are more than your past mistakes. You are more than your past pain. You have the power to create a new ending, to step into a future that is greater than anything you have ever imagined. But to do that, you must let go of the belief that your past determines your worth. It doesn't. What defines you is what you choose to do next. Your worth isn't determined by who chooses to stay or leave. Too often, people tie their self-value to the presence or absence of others in their lives. They believe that if someone loves them, they are worthy, and if someone leaves, they must be unlovable. But this is a lie. Your value does not fluctuate based on who accepts or rejects you. Your worth is not up for negotiation. It is not something that increases when someone praises you or decreases when someone walks away. You were born worthy, and nothing, no person, no circumstance, no heartbreak can take that away. People will come and go. Some will stay for a season, some for a lifetime, and some will leave without a second thought. But their choices do not define you. Their inability to love you the way you deserve says more about them than it does about you. Just because someone fails to see your worth does not mean it is. A diamond does not lose its value just because someone fails to recognize its brilliance. It remains precious regardless of who holds it. Many people struggle with the pain of abandonment. They wonder what they did wrong, why they weren't enough, or what they could have done differently to make someone stay. But here's the truth. If someone chooses to leave, it is not your responsibility to make them stay. The people who truly belong in your life will never need convincing. They will never make you question your worth. They will see your value and treat you accordingly. The danger of attaching your self-worth to others is that you give them power over your happiness. You allow them to dictate how you see yourself. But true confidence, true strength, comes from knowing that you are complete on your own. You do not need validation from anyone to be enough. You do not need someone to choose you in order to be valuable. Imagine a woman who gave everything to a relationship. She loved deeply, sacrificed, and did everything she could to make it work. But one day, the person she loved walked away without warning. She was devastated, convinced that she wasn't good enough. For months, she questioned herself, wondering what she could have done differently. But then she had a realization. Her worth did not leave with that person. She was still the same kind, loving, strong woman she had always been. The only difference was that she was no longer giving her love to someone who didn't appreciate it. Instead of chasing after someone who had already chosen to leave, she began focusing on herself. She pursued her dreams, surrounded herself with people who valued her, and eventually she found happiness. Not because someone else gave it to her, but because she gave it to herself. This is the truth. The people who walk away are making room for the right ones to come in. The love you have been searching for starts within you. You are enough, just as you are. You always have been. No one else gets to decide your worth. That power belongs to you. Healing begins the moment you decide you deserve better. No one else can make that choice for you. No amount of time passing, no apology from the person who hurt you, and no external validation will suddenly heal the wounds inside you. Healing starts within. It starts when you look at yourself, at all the pain, all the disappointments, all the betrayals, and say, I deserve more than this. Too many people wait for healing like it's something that will happen to them over time. They think that if they stay busy, if they pretend they're fine, if they numb the pain with distractions, one day they'll wake up and feel whole again. But healing doesn't work that way. You don't heal by avoiding your pain. You heal by confronting it, by acknowledging that it exists, and by making the conscious decision to no longer let it control you. Healing is a choice, a hard, painful, uncomfortable choice. It means letting go of the idea that things could have been different. It means accepting that some people will never apologize, some situations will never be fair, and some wounds will never be fully erased. But just because the past hurt you does not mean it has to define your future. The moment you decide you deserve better is the moment you start to reclaim your power. One of the hardest parts of healing is realizing that you cannot change the past, but you can change how you respond to it. You can choose to stay in the cycle of pain, replaying every heartbreak, reliving every disappointment, holding on to resentment that only poisons you from the inside. Or you can choose to let go, not because what happened was okay, but because you are no longer willing to let it steal your peace. There was a man who spent years in a toxic relationship. He gave his all, but no matter what he did, it was never enough. He was constantly made to feel small, unworthy, unimportant. When the relationship finally ended, he was broken. He felt lost, blaming himself, wondering why he wasn't enough to make it work. For months, he carried that pain, believing that he would never be truly happy again. But one day, he stood in front of the mirror and asked himself, why am I still holding on to something that hurt me? In that moment, he made a decision, not to forget what happened, but to stop letting it define him. He chose to heal. He started focusing on himself, rebuilding his confidence and embracing the life he had put on hold. And as he grew, he realized something powerful. He never needed that person's love to be whole. He needed his own. Healing isn't about pretending the pain never existed. It's about refusing to let it control you anymore. It's about choosing yourself, about recognizing that you deserve peace, happiness, and love that doesn't hurt. And the moment you truly believe that, that's the moment healing begins. The love you've been searching for must start within you. So many people spend their lives chasing love, seeking it in relationships and friendships and validation from others, only to end up feeling empty, disappointed, and unfulfilled. They believe that if they can just find the right person, if they can just be loved the way they long to be, then they will finally feel whole. But no one else can give you the love you are missing. No one else can fill the void that only self-love can truly heal. The problem with searching for love outside of yourself is that it makes you dependent on others for your happiness. You begin to believe that your worth is tied to how someone treats you. If they love you, you feel valuable. If they leave, you feel worthless. This is a dangerous way to live because it gives others control over your sense of self. The truth is, love is not something you find, it is something you become. The love you are so desperate to receive from others is the same love you must first give to yourself. Self-love is not about arrogance or selfishness. It's about knowing your worth. It's about setting boundaries that protect your peace. It's about speaking to yourself with kindness instead of criticism. It's about no longer waiting for someone else to come along and prove to you that you are enough. You were always enough. The only thing missing was your own belief in that truth. People often fear being alone because they think solitude means loneliness. But real loneliness is being surrounded by people who don't truly see or value you. When you learn to love yourself, you realize that being alone is not something to fear. It is something to embrace. It is in those quiet moments with yourself that you discover who you really are, what you truly deserve, and what you will no longer tolerate. There was a woman who had spent years in relationships that left her feeling unseen and unappreciated. She would give her all, only to receive half-hearted love in return. Each time a relationship ended, she would blame herself, thinking that if she had just been better, prettier, or more perfect, maybe they would have stayed. But one day, after another painful breakup, she asked herself, why do I keep giving love to people who don't know how to love me back? That question changed everything. Instead of looking for love outside of herself, she started focusing on her own happiness. She pursued her passions, took care of her mind and body, and surrounded herself with people who uplifted her. And as she learned to love herself, something amazing happened. She no longer craved the love she once begged for. She realized she had become the love she was looking for all along. When you truly love yourself, you stop settling. You stop accepting breadcrumbs when you deserve the whole feast. You stop begging for love from people who don't see your worth. And the most beautiful part, when you learn to love yourself first, the right kind of love will find you. Without force, without desperation, without pain. Because the love you've been searching for was always inside you. You just had to see it. Walking away from what breaks you is not weakness, it is strength. Too often, people stay in situations that hurt them because they believe leaving means they failed. They hold on to toxic relationships, draining friendships, or unfulfilling jobs because they are afraid of the unknown. They convince themselves that if they just try harder, if they just endure a little more pain, things will eventually change. But staying in something that continuously breaks you is not loyalty, it is self-destruction. The strongest thing you will ever do is choose yourself over the things that are hurting you. People fear walking away because they don't want to seem weak. They worry about what others will think, or they convince themselves that leaving means giving up. But true strength is knowing when something is no longer serving you. It takes courage to say, I deserve better than this. It takes self-respect to walk away, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. The hardest part about leaving something toxic is that it often comes with doubt. You question if you made the right choice, if things really were that bad, if maybe you should have given it one more chance. But deep down, you already know the answer. Anything that repeatedly drains you, diminishes your worth, or makes you feel small is not meant for you. Growth does not happen in places where you are constantly breaking just to survive. Walking away is not just about removing yourself from a bad situation. It is about choosing peace, self-worth, and a future that aligns with your happiness. It is about no longer settling for things that do not nurture your soul. It is about understanding that you do not have to stay where you are not valued, respected, or appreciated. There was a man who stayed in a job that made him miserable for years. He felt trapped, undervalued, and completely drained, but he was terrified of leaving because he didn't know what else was out there. Every day he woke up dreading what was ahead, feeling stuck in a cycle that was slowly breaking him. But one day he asked himself, if I stay here for another 5 years, will I be happy? The answer was a painful no. That moment changed everything. He made the difficult decision to walk away, not because it was easy, but because he knew he deserved better. It wasn't an instant transformation. It took time, uncertainty, and a lot of fear, but eventually he found something that gave him purpose, something that made him wake up excited instead of exhausted. And he realized that walking away wasn't the end. It was the beginning of something better. Letting go is painful, but staying somewhere that breaks you is even worse. Choosing yourself is never the wrong decision. The things that are meant for you will never require you to lose yourself in order to keep them. You are not weak for leaving. You are strong for knowing that you deserve more. And once you take that first step away from what hurts you, you open the door to everything that was always waiting for you on the other side. I know it's hard. I know you're tired. But listen to me. Your pain was never meant to break you. It was meant to rebuild you. Every tear, every sleepless night, every moment of self-doubt, it's all preparing you for something greater. You weren't abandoned, you were redirected, you weren't rejected, you were being protected, and now it's time to rise, time to reclaim your power, time to walk away from anything that makes you feel unworthy. You don't need their validation, you don't need their love to be whole. You were never missing anything. You were always enough. So stand up, wipe your tears, look in the mirror, and see the warrior staring back at you. The one who has survived every battle, the one who refuses to stay broken. It's time to stop waiting for someone to choose you. It's time to choose yourself. If you feel this in your soul, type "I am ready" in the comments, because this is your moment, your time, your life.